Now, before all you pro-choicers out there, you SJW types, start marching in the streets, burning down buildings, tearing down the doors at the Supreme Court, all today's decision did, this overturning of Roe v. Wade, which really wasn't an overturning of Roe v. Wade, but all this decision did was bring this issue back to the local level, the state level, which is where it should have stayed originally. Nowhere in the Constitution. Now, we've had amendments added to the Constitution, but nowhere in the articles of the Constitution, constitutional text, does it talk about abortion or gay marriage, the right to drive a car, pick your nose. It doesn't talk about social issues whatsoever. But I will say this about today's decision, and this has been one of the driving themes of this channel. Life matters. I did a video about this. Life matters. And my personal view on abortion is that it's something that should be a last resort, not be used as a convenience, because people didn't want to take the precautionary measures necessary not to get pregnant. Let's be honest. In a lot of cases, that's what happens. You don't use protection. Well, I've always felt that if life's mother's in danger, in the case of rape or incest, the child's not going to survive in the womb, then yes, abortion can be an option as a last resort. But life matters. That is why I believe in the preservation of history and culture, great art, great music. You know, a lot of communist countries, women are forced to have abortions. They don't have a choice of whether or not they want to get an abortion. Ever read up on what happens in China? Any of these communist regimes? And welcome back to the channel, Culture Confederacy here. What a way to wake up this morning. I didn't get much sleep last night. One of those mornings where I woke up, I was a little groggy. Took a couple tries to get the coffee right. But I never thought I would see this decision coming down from the Supreme Court. And I've said for months, we don't need a Supreme Court. Bring it all back to the state level. Because that was the original agreement. States are sovereign and independent. And if you want to talk about a teachable moment, an exercise in law, well, here you go. An exercise in government, here you go. But I'll give you a little background, and I did a video about this before, but I'll give you a little background on Roe v. Wade, what actually happened in that case. Because the 14th Amendment was used as an argument in that case. This idea of a right to privacy. But nowhere in the 14th Amendment does it specifically spell out a right to privacy. So I'll read you the 14th Amendment, but let me tell you what happened with Roe v. Wade. But I really believe that we should be celebrating life in this country. Great art, great music, the preservation of history and culture. Those things are important. They are a reflection of life. And I understand that sometimes people end up in bad circumstances. That's why I said case of rape or incest, life of the mother. Child's not going to survive in the womb. But as a convenience, when you should have taken the responsibility to take the precautionary measures necessary not to get pregnant. And I understand accidents happen, okay? I'm no prude here. But life is a gift, and we should be celebrating that. So getting to the case of Roe v. Wade, what happened in 73? It actually goes back to 69, because in 69, Norma McCorvey, a.k.a. Jane Roe, was pregnant with a third child, but she wanted an abortion, and she lived in Texas, but abortion was illegal in Texas unless the mother's life was in danger. So she hired a couple of attorneys, Sarah Weddington and Linda Coffey, and they filed a lawsuit on her behalf in the U.S. federal court against her local district attorney. And this alleged that Texas abortion law, or its laws, were unconstitutional. So a 3-judge panel of the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of Texas, they ruled in her favor and declared the relevant Texas abortion statutes unconstitutional. And then Texas took this to the Supreme Court. But what should have happened is that the federal court in Texas, the federal district court, should have said, no, you're going to take this back to the local level, and you guys hash it out at the local level. That's what should have happened in that case. Now, when the court came down with its decision, this was a 7-2 decision, they held the due process clause of the 14th Amendment. So let's go to the 14th Amendment and see what it says here. All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the states wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, not denying any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. Now, where in here does it mention privacy? It talks about privileges and immunities. This whole idea of all men are created equal. Yes, we have equality under the law. Lady Justice is supposed to be blind. But originally, let me take a sip of my coffee here. Still trying to wake up, so the voice isn't all together there this morning. But this idea of all men are created equal, a lot of people were very critical of that language in the Declaration of Independence, pardon me, because what they were really fighting for were the rights of English citizens, which they felt had been violated by the king. These were rights that were guaranteed by Parliament. That's what all men created equal was really about. The rights of these colonists as British citizens under the laws protected by Parliament, or these rights protected by Parliament. How much power should the federal government have versus the states? And the agreement was states are sovereign and independent. Because if you go back to the founding documents, they really didn't use the word nation. They didn't like that idea of nation. They didn't want an over-oppressive government. They didn't want a monarchy. They debated whether or not we should have a president because they felt a president would be similar to a monarchy. But I don't want to go too far afield here. Like I said, try to wake up and my voice is a little scraggly this morning. Oh, that's good coffee. Trust me when I tell you, if you buy these store brand coffees, the generics, and you grind them up in your coffee bean grinder, you'll get a much better cup of coffee. But getting back to the 14th Amendment, Roe v. Wade, nowhere in the 14th Amendment does it talk about a right to privacy, just privileges and immunities. I guess you can consider a right to privacy within that context. But this issue of abortion, like gay marriage or anything else, all these social issues, should stay at the state or local level. Because the only role of the federal government, as I have mentioned before, is to protect the homeland and oversee international trade or international affairs. That's it. But when the court came down with its decision in Roe v. Wade, they talk about this right to privacy, the 14th Amendment, which protects a pregnant woman's right to an abortion. But the court also found that that right to abortion is not absolute. It's got to be balanced against the protection of prenatal life. But this decision was somewhat ambiguous because it really didn't define the terms or the parameters of this idea of the balancing of a woman's right, her body, her right to an abortion, privacy, and prenatal life. But that could have all been solved if this would have stayed at the state level. So the states had to evaluate the laws already on the books in their states regarding abortion and see if they matched up with the 14th Amendment, this idea of right to privacy. So that's what happened during Roe v. Wade. But I thought I'd come here and talk about this decision that came down today. But we really should be celebrating life, preserving great art and great music. Remember, that is a reflection of life, as I said. And we are very thankful to live in one of the greatest countries on the planet, or this place we call the United States. The freedoms that we have. And yesterday we had a big victory with the Second Amendment. But these are all unique to American culture. The idea that you can protect your property, you can protect yourself, the right to be armed. The reason why we had a Second Amendment was so that people could protect themselves from invasion. Remember, this is all during a time of revolution. But social issues were not on the top of the list. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, you know what to do. You can also find me at Instagram, #JasonComposes. Follow me at Twitter, Culture Confederacy at Twitter. This is the Culture Confederacy saying peace out. Stay safe, everybody. God bless this great country. I'll catch you next time. But let's celebrate life. And we can celebrate life while we also protect everybody's rights as well. So don't go out there and loot, riot, burn down cities tonight. All this decision did was bring this issue back to the local level, which is where all these social issues belong. I'll catch you next time.